The DOJ is cracking down on Google for basically being a monopoly. Let's talk about what's going on. All right, so I'm going to pull up my screen and we're just going to check a look at what's actually happening here. So it says, I got a Yahoo Finance article pulled up. It says, many consider Google, now referred to as Alphabet, of course we know that's Google, as the most powerful, dominant enterprise in the world. Honestly, I agree to this just because YouTube, first of all, the best business move that Google made, I believe, was acquiring YouTube. That was just like such a genius move. And honestly, they got a steal, honestly, with YouTube. They bought it for $1 billion, but they kind of got a steal. And they just were so smart and actually getting that early. Says, however, regulators believe that Google's dominance over the online search industry has gone too far. As of the latest data, Google controls roughly 92% of the massive search engine market, and Yahoo, ironically, I'm on a Yahoo article, and being its closest competitor, if you can even call them that. Like, Yahoo is literally bagging on themselves on their own platform. It's hilarious. Cling to a tiny, obsolete sliver. Yes, Google literally controls 92% of the search engine market. First of all, it has its own phrase in the dictionary. Like, you kind of know you arrived, or you know you pretty much have cornered everything when you literally have your own word in the dictionary. So let's keep going. It says, though nearly $2 trillion company has a monopoly in the search market, and its monopolistic tentacles reach many other areas, the company has been able to avoid legal scrutiny for years. This is very, very true. Google is very, very just chef's kiss, honestly, at being able to hide the fact that they are so huge. They're always position themselves as I recommend everybody read 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. He talks about how companies who don't have monopolistic tendencies always tend to say we're the only ones in this industry, and companies who actually are monopolistic are very, very quiet, and they kind of try to sneak by and say no way. They are our competitors. Our competitors are doing the same thing. We're actually so small. Google has done this so well. They've always positioned themselves to be just like this small little. No, we don't have all of the search engine traffic cornered. No, we're not one of the largest tech companies. We don't have the tech industry cornered. We are competing against Apple and Microsoft, and they're always ready to put themselves off as they're not competing with they're in such high competition when really it really is only them. So scrutiny for the years. However, that streak finally ended when Google lost a monumentous antitrust lawsuit to the U.S. Department of Justice, which is the DOJ. So this was filed in 2020. I had not even known this until I read this article. It said the lawsuit claimed that Google is taking anti-competitive measures to eliminate competition. Honestly, this is such an old concept. Companies that want to just pretty much dominate everything. Like, honestly, Andrew Carnegie, John Rockefeller, all of those people would not be who they were if they didn't have this sort of mindset. BlackRock, Blackstone, if they didn't have this kind of mindset, they honestly would not be where they are, just because that's the game of big companies. They want to pretty much corner everybody, corner markets, and even though they'll pretend like it, because they'll have that's the cover up. They'll have their tentacles, their hands in so many different things, so they can always be able to position themselves or hide behind the fact that we're so broad that all of our competitors, we're just a small piece of the pie. But it's because they've gone so broad. They've gone into Android. They've gone into operating systems, cell phones. So now they're able to hide behind those small little portions of the business that really don't thrive in, or not necessarily even thrive. They really don't have as much control. They hide behind that from the real business, like things like YouTube. Like, honestly, think about it. What other video platform truly can't compete with YouTube. YouTube is on TV now. It's honestly beating out all the streaming services like Netflix, all of these other services that pretty much YouTube is not even supposed to be on the same playing field. They're able to compete with TikTok. We could talk about all the other social medias. TikTok is not really TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. You're not watching that on TV. Google has become in your home now. Now it's in your home, in your living room. Incredible. So there's no way that they're not. So for example, Google paid Apple a jaw-dropping $20 billion. Anytime you can pay $1 trillion company off, pretty much. They paid $1 trillion company, which is Apple, off to ensure that it was Safari's default search engine in 2022. So they were like, Apple, we just want to make sure that Safari is the default search engine. We'll give you some money. With the verdict reportedly reached in this case, the US DOJ and Google have until September the 4th to come to a resolution. Potential resolutions to the case included forcing the company to unwind its default search engine deals and become more transparent. However, the most significant and newsworthy would be a forced spinoff. This would be interesting to see. Honestly, the only thing that I could see being like a huge issue is what they're pretty much saying right now. I know Android is definitely their search, breaking up all of those things, breaking up the company into many pieces. But like separating YouTube from search is kind of like, that's where, just because I love YouTube and I'm on YouTube, separating those two and making them separate is a little bit interesting. I know Android plays a huge part, but having those two separated for sure, because they are so closely connected, is pretty interesting. A breakup of Google would be equally shocking and devastating. It honestly would. Nevertheless, it is highly unlikely. Obviously, below are the 5 reasons why. I definitely think this is a highly unlikely thing, just because. Let's just keep reading. Historical antitrust precedent. Mark Twain once said, history doesn't repeat itself, but it does. But it often rhymes. The last comparable case occurred in 1999 when the DOJ sued Microsoft for aggressive tactics to outcompete the next. Again, like I said, these things happen all the time with companies who really, really just want to corner the market, like companies like Microsoft. We've all heard stories of Bill Gates and how aggressive he was when it came to Microsoft being the only operating system, the only computer company, just the only, if you will. And browser, obviously, most people still hate Windows and those sort of thing. But initially, the court ordered Microsoft to be divided in two. However, later appeal ruled that Microsoft. Now, also, keep in mind though, Bill Gates had an incredible lawyer as a dad, so he was always able to get away. If I've done research on Bill Gates' story, and he was always able to get away with things like this just because his dad was such a prominent lawyer and such a smart lawyer. Now, not saying that Google can't get the smartest lawyers. I mean, we're talking $1 billion company, billions of dollars of company, but could remain the same as long as it ceased the anti-competitive practices it was conducting. Because of the similarity of the case, Google is probably going to face a similar fate. So, yeah, Google probably would it'll probably just be a slap on the wrist and saying that, hey, you guys need to stop doing this. Like, stop just like pretty much cornering everybody and saying, hey, we'll pay you if you do this for us. Like, we'll pay you if you let us make the Safari the default search engine. We'll pay you if you whatever it is. So meanwhile, forced spinoffs often have been absent in recent history. So as we know, there's a lot of companies that are pretty much monopolies that we probably don't even know about. But most in the U.S., just because we love free markets, you're not going to see too many spinoffs or forced spinoffs, because these things, we try to separate them. Private companies should, even though Google is a publicly held company, but when it comes to government and things like that, they try to stay out of it as much as possible. To find the last time a company was broken up by regulators, you have to look at, they're talking about AT&T when they pretty much had to give up Bell systems. And then appeals process, Google held off monopoly punishment for so long points to how strong his legal team is. Like I said, we know that they're going to have a strong legal team. Even if the court were to rule should be broken up, the appeals process would drag on for years. So kind of will be a lost cause on the court's case, just because, their lawyer team is just they're going to be able to just throw money at the best lawyers and be able to make sure that Google doesn't go anywhere. Honestly, I believe Google is a 100-year company, just because, even in the midst of, I always look for if a founder can leave or step down, or they can continue to change out founders and the company still runs strong or grows stronger. Google has been able to do that. Larry and Sergey Brin, I believe that they've either stepped down or they've had changing CEOs. And they still been able to run strong and continue to innovate and continue to stay on top of things. I know the whole issue thing with the AI and how it kind of, they made themselves look bad. But overall, Google they're pretty strong and dominant. I'm not going to read the last of this. Well, the snowball effect. So the issue of fairness is another factor. Though Google is clearly a monopoly, is far from the only one. Apple dominates the smartphone market with 60%. Meta is the undisputed leader. They really are. Honestly, Facebook and Meta, I would say Meta Platforms is probably a 100-year company too, just because Mark Zuckerberg got rich. He did this thing so young, and he's almost 40 now. He's just only turning 40. That is insane. The guy probably still has about 30 to 40 years left to run this company. I'm like, and he's like not slowing. Like, that dude is different. That dude, I know he's kind of a meme a lot of times, and people don't really like him, but that dude is different. And finally, Amazon has reportedly used anti-competitive tactics. Everybody know Bezos he's a dog. He's very, very aggressive. But yeah, so basically, bottom line, it said, it's lost its antitrust case to the U.S. DOJ. However, several pieces of evidence suggest that it's doubtful the company will force a breakup. I doubt that Google is going to be forced to break up, but it's so interesting to see that they come now. I don't know it's interesting to see that they're actually going after the company now, but we've all known that Google has been a monopoly forever. Do I think that they'll ever break up? Probably not. Could they? Who knows? You never know what the future may hold. Honestly, we always could try to predict things, and they always can turn out the complete opposite way. But let's see. Let's see how this case turns out. I'm on the fence of Google will be around the same and continues to innovate for a very, very long time. But what do you think? Comment down below. Peace.